Bruins should, and we're going to start with an A clap. And to do that, I want to invite up Pat Turner. Pat Turner is our Dean and Vice Provost for Undergraduate Education. Stand up. We're beginning to build out our living room here for you, because whenever you're on campus, whenever you're in Westwood, we want this to be one of the first places that you come. Come in, talk amongst each other, talk with our staff, have a cup of coffee, have a glass of water. We don't always have the bar open like we do today. We do occasionally. But please, this is your home. Visit us often. We love it when you're here. Second thing is Alumni Day, May 16th. Saturday, May 16th is Alumni Day, so keep that for your calendar. We're going to spend the day up on the hill. We've got a fabulous program planned for you. And one of the things that we're really excited to share with you is that we've moved Spring Sing from Friday night to Saturday night. So when you're here for Alumni Day, spend the day and end with that fabulous program featuring some of the best talent in the world. That would be Bruins, of course. So now let's get going with our program. I wanted to bring up one of our staff members who many of you know, who leads the work working with our networks in LA. So Susie, turning it over to you. Susie Howell.
Hello, Bruins. Hello. Well, to quote Julie Simon, hello, Bruins. Hello. All right. I am so excited that you are here for the 17th annual All-SoCal men's basketball pre-game party. If that isn't a mouthful, and I'm sure it's more than 140 characters on Twitter. We have somebody very special here today. Vin Scully and the Dodgers. Chick Hearn and the Lakers. Legendary names with the talent for making us feel like we're right there. Courtside, watching the swoosh of the ball through the net, or enjoying a beautiful day at the stadium. How lucky we have been to have our very own golden voice at UCLA football and basketball games for more than 20 years. With his enthusiastic smile and analytical mind, UCLA radio announcer Chris Roberts will retire after the 2014-15 season, ending a tenure that has spanned over 2 decades. As the voice of the Bruins, Roberts has been calling the Bruin games since 1992, providing the soundtrack for some of their greatest accomplishments, including Rose Bowl and NCAA championship victories, and has broadcast NCAA Division I sports in the Los Angeles area since 1982. Chris was inducted into the Southern California Sports Broadcasters Hall of Fame in 2012. He is a 4-time Golden Mike Award winner, which is presented annually by the Radio and Television News Association of Southern California, and in 2013 received the Chick Hearn Award for Best Play-by-Play. Chris never misses a chance to give back and is one of our biggest supporters of UCLA's Dribble for the Cure, which raises money for pediatric cancer research at Mattel Children's Hospital. A UCLA fan to the core, he is also the author of 2 books, Stadium Stories, UCLA Bruins, and UCLA Football Vault. Please welcome our good friend, Chris Roberts.
Touchdown, UCLA! Just came right out of her chair. Oh my God. I'll tell you what, it was sure fun to call that particular phrase. I told Mario on Channel 4 when that happens, that usually means something good just transpired. And at the Alamo Bowl, we got our 10th win of the year, second year in a row under head coach Jim Mora, that we collected the 10th. Pretty special, right? Jim and the players deserve all the accolades that they can get. This UCLA basketball team, you know, we lost the whole starting lineup this last year. The two twins, 6'10" Ware twins, Jordan Adams, Kyle Anderson, Zach Levine could have been a starter this year, but the last three that I mentioned, they all went in the first round. Now, I'm an old-fashioned guy. I'd like to see them play till they're seniors and then head to the NBA, but we don't live in that kind of an era anymore, so we got to live with it, and that doesn't make any excuses for the ball club. I know that Steve Alford doesn't want to hear about it, but the last month was awfully tough, but he won his 500th career game the other night in that double overtime victory. Wow. What a way to win a game and your 500th victory. So, Steve Alford, good man, good family man. I'll tell you what, the 23 years that I've spent at UCLA, there is no way I could ever begin to repay you, the most knowledgeable and terrific fans in collegiate sports, what you've given me and my family. A lot of you out there, we've become good friends. You've treated my family like royalty. My wife Ann, my son David has been my second pair of eyes up in the booth the last 17 years. My daughter graduated from UCLA. We were just trying to figure out if it was 10 years ago. She's 31 now, and so it's got to be 10, maybe 9. But she graduated early, speaks Spanish fluently. She's teaching Spanish up in Northern California, but she loves UCLA. And she traveled to Madrid, met her husband in Madrid, then traveled the world with him because he's a mathematical engineer. He's still working on the water project over in Bangladesh. But when my daughter came home from up north for the holidays, she announced that we're going to have our first grandchild. So, obviously, I'm kind of excited about that. And I've been going around telling everybody along with her mother, hey, I'm pregnant. Yeah. And of course, with her husband in Bangladesh, and Dad kind of being a wise guy, always trying to have the one-liner in the family ever since I was about 10 years old, when she announced that she was going to have a baby. I go, how did that happen? She goes, Dad, Thanksgiving. They met and had a rendezvous in Madrid on Thanksgiving, so she had to explain. Honey, I don't need to know that. Thank you. I know Dad's being a wise guy. But there's no way that I can put into words the appreciation that I've felt at UCLA the past 23 years. You know, and I have a funny thing that I tell Matt Stevens and Wayne Cook, my football broadcasters, even Don McLean, he was with me for 11 years. Tracy Murray now is handling the analyst position. I said, you know, even the bad times, and you know, we don't like to think about bad times, but even the rough times at UCLA are even good because it's the greatest university in the world. I'm so proud that I have a daughter that graduated from here. She's one of you guys. She's an alumnus, and she's so proud of it too. And she hates the people down the freeway. I was told earlier today, don't say hate, just say dislikes. All right, because some of you have bosses that are calling the shots that are, I don't know how in the world they got in that position, but they're close, you know. But there's no way that I could ever repay what the school and the fans have given me. You've treated my family the best you can be, and for me also, the memories will live on forever. And everybody says, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do, Roberts? I don't like the word retire, like many of you do. I've got plenty of things to do. I've been a real estate broker, along with being a broadcaster for the last 30 years. And believe me, that'll keep me busy. I've got some units. The wife and I run them ourselves. I'm not going home and sit in the big chair and go like this with a clicker. There'll be things to do, and I'm not closing the door on doing anything behind the mic because, listen, that's been the majority of my life has been spent right behind one of these, and it'll continue until I probably draw the last breath, but we'll see how it unfolds, and it has been fun. I love the direction of the football program, and listen, basketball too. I know it was a little hairy this last month on the road. We're going to Chicago. We're playing Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Then we have to open up the Pac-12 in Boulder, Colorado, then head straight up to Salt Lake in the Pac-12. But that's the way it goes. That's the way the schedule unfolds. And I hope it's going to make us a better ball club. The Trojans knocked off this Cal Bear team the other night. No reason we can't get win number 10 in the bank for UCLA today. I really believe that. Somebody asked me earlier, they said, hey, when do you go on? I said, you mean here? On this mic? Or the one over in Pauley? I said, well, whenever they want me to go on, I'm going to go on now. Here, 4 o'clock is the beginning of the warm-up show when we start things for real. And everybody always says, hey, remember the old days when you're on KMPC, we just bring in the radio, we could listen to you? Anybody that wants to know, they've got handheld devices in that northwest corner that you can pick up and dial right in, and somebody says, what about the delay? No delay. It's us. You might even hear a few other things behind the scenes that's not supposed to go on the air, but you will hear us if you're interested in going along with the play-by-play. A lot of people still do that. And when you're away, nowadays, it's so funny, I have young kids that want to come up and take a picture. I say, now how do you listen to the games, Dad? If you're, you know, oh, well, I listen with Mom and Dad in the car on AM radio. And how else? Oh, tuneinradio.com, that's for free. Yeah, there's so many different ways now on your handheld device that you can listen to the games if you want to check it out on radio. What my wife does at home, because she's my wife, because I'll still get people say, oh, the delay is killing me. And if you don't feel like sitting around watching an entire game, and you've got other things to do, turn on the radio, turn on the TV. We're usually ahead. And when something exciting happens, she'll drop the vacuum cleaner or the dishes and run out and watch video. Ah, that's what happened. A slam by Kevon Looney. And so that's another way to do it. But listen, I know a lot of you do still listen. However, AM radio, AM 570, share the dial position with the Dodgers. We usually go up to 1150 in the spring when they start spring ball, and at the end of the regular baseball season we're at 1150, but by and large, right now until spring training gets underway, we're on AM 570. And I had talked about my broadcasting partners wondering about what in the world are we going to do, and because last year there was a thought that maybe I wouldn't return for a final year, and I thought, you know, for those guys, because we've turned into best friends, Wayne Cook, Matt Stevens in football, Don McLean and I, of course, buddies for 11 years, traveled on the road together. He's basically doing Clippers pre and post, a little Pac-12 network every now and then. And Tracey grew up in Glendora, That's where I live. So we've been pals, and we have one more year here. I've never been the type of guy to look back and go, oh, wow, what's going to happen? You know, I've always looked forward like, all I can think about right now is Cal Bears this afternoon. USC on the road next week. Not one of my favorite places to visit, but I'm going to have to go there next Wednesday night at the Galen Center. No, I'm just kidding. You know, it's fine. It's a nice place. And we're good friends with a lot of people over there. But I thought what I would do, because I've got just a little bit of time, if you wanted to ask a question of me, maybe this would be a good little Q&A thing to kind of close things out instead of me just talking one thing right after another, because somebody says, you've got a lot of stories, don't you, Roberts? And I got a million of them. Maybe you don't want to hear them all. You know, let's talk about something that maybe you want to talk about. I will say one thing, that two of the big highlights in the career, the 20-win season, 20 wins in a row, I should say, 10 over each year. In the late 90s, Bob Toledo's team, Kate McNown, was running the show at quarterback. The 95 championship game, of course, when the Bruins beat Arkansas to hang that 11th banner, which we see in Pauley Pavilion. And I love the 1992 game where we went through, and this is football now, not the greatest year, but the way we played that last game and beat USC at the Rose Bowl in 1992, with a kid by the name of John Barnes at quarterback, was the 5th QB that year. True story, doing the interview with Terry Donahue in his office. We tape the interviews, we try to make them sound live in the warm-up show, and I'm going over all the guys that got hurt at quarterback. And I said, yeah, you're going to start a 5th-string quarterback against the Trojans in this ball game, Terry. And I'm honest to God, Terry goes like this, cracks his head down on the table, puts his hands over his head, like, don't remind me. But then the pro that he is gets up and says, yeah, we're going to have to see how it unfolds in the game tonight with John Barnes. What happened, if you don't remember, or maybe you just weren't around then or didn't care, John Barnes set a record for passing yardage all time at that point against USC. He was like 325 yards. He had a pretty good receiver to go to, too. A guy by the name of J.J. Stokes. A little 5-yard look in from the 5-yard line, he go 95 for a touchdown. And J.J., who has a radio show up in San Francisco, played a cut of the call. Quick little look into J.J. Stokes. He's got it at the 40, 45-50, 45-40, 35-30, 25-20, 15-10-5. Touchdown, UCLA! And J.J. comes back on the air and he goes, you know what, Roberts? You make me sound slow. Okay, next time I'll speed it up, J.J. What a great Bruin. But if you've thought of a question, raise your hand. We'll... I've got a couple of minutes here. If you have a question you want to ask me, whether it's about broadcasting, UCLA, yes.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a story of your first remembrance of meeting Coach Wooden?
Yes. The first what?
Your story about meeting Coach Wooden for the first time. That's one thing we always talk about, is when we got to meet Coach Wooden, or our first memories. Do you have a story?
You know, the coach, first memory about meeting John Wooden. The coach treated me like I was one of his own sons. Surprise, he treats everybody like that, right? But I had the opportunity to not only go to breakfast with him, but then I went over to the apartment and we hung out. And we started talking about baseball, because I love baseball, he loves baseball. And I was just enthralled to be in front of this great man that taught us more than just winning and losing. But he sure knew how to win, though, didn't he? And he even admitted himself he spoiled it for the rest of the guys that came after him as head coaches. But John Wooden is just about as good as they get. It is so neat to have his daughter, Nan Wooden, come by before every broadcast And even if I'm on the air, she's trying to give me a kiss right through that microphone. But what a family. And we've become very, very close over the years. But, you know, he lived a great life, and I'll never forget him because of just who he was as a man, maybe even more than a coach. Any other questions from anybody? You know, I've been waiting for him here. This is my broadcasting partner. In the 7 years now that he's been with me on the radio. All-American here at UCLA. He's in topic. 6'7", 220 pounds, and we've also become best friends. He grew up in Glendora, where I live now. He's a San Gabriel Valley guy. He's from Pasadena originally. But what I'm really so proud of, and I've said about Matt Stevens and Wayne Cook when they've been with me before, but this guy right here has now turned in his dozen years in the NBA, and we knew what he did here at UCLA. Coach used to say, "Why do you want to shoot him from 25 feet? Why?" There he goes, 25 feet, and the coach is going, "Oh my God!" It's Jim Herrick. "Ah, beautiful shot, Tracy. Keep pumping him from out there, buddy." But he's turned into a terrific broadcaster. I'm so proud of him. He comes prepared. He's got a full sheet of notes, takes notes during the game, talks about them, and like I said, he's turned into a broadcaster that used to be a terrific athlete. He was a great athlete. But I'm so proud of him, and I know you wanted to start cheering for him when he walked in. Let's give him a round of applause now. Tracy Murray!
Thanks for having me here. This is wonderful. Sorry I'm a little late. I had to do another chalk talk across the way over there. So for our boss was IMG. So thank you for having me here. It's wonderful. Thanks for the reception. Cal, I'm sure Chris has talked about Cal a little bit. They're a pretty good team coming in here. They have three guys. Jordan Matthews, who's Coach Matthews' son, that used to coach here, and you know he's coming in here with a personal vengeance every time he plays against us. So he had a good game last year, so he's going to come in ready to play. Tyrone Wallace, their leading scorer, very good player. I think, in my opinion, I think the Bruins need to put Norman Powell on him and shut his water off right away. Norman's such a good defender, great defender, and you don't want that kid to get started. And Kravish, this kid is a senior, 6'10". I think the best person to put on him is Kevon Looney, because they both are very active players. They use their length to rebound. They're hard to block off because they're constantly moving. And I think that would be an outstanding matchup to see both of them work. You know, and Kevon would have his work cut out for him. You know, you have a veteran that's been there. And Kevon being a young whippersnapper, freshman, you know, and coming off of his best game. I'm really curious to see how he comes off of having a 27.19 rebound night. You know, it's kind of hard to be consistent when you're a freshman. And I think that's why Coach Herrick used to always say, best thing about freshmen, they come sophomores. Best thing about sophomores, they come juniors. Because you learn how to play. You learn how to be consistent. And in turn, you make the coach's job more secure. You know, and thank you for having me, though. I want everybody to have a good time at the game, and the Bruins, I'm pretty sure they're going to be prepared and they'll come out ready to play and defend their home court. Thank you. Questions? Sure.
I want to know if Norman is okay, because he looked like he was suffering.
I'll guess I'm going to see when I get downstairs because he took a couple of very tough skills. And we talked about it on air. This generation is so athletic that they use their athleticism so much that they don't read what's in front of them. And there were two guys on each play that were standing right there for ages. And that's when Norman should stop and pop instead of trying to fly over them. Now you're putting your body at risk unnecessarily. So maybe he'll learn from those couple of spills, you know, and hopefully he's well enough to play this game because the Bruins need him out there defending Wallace, that's for sure. Yes.
Have you heard anything about whether Kevin Mooney is going to stay next year?
Everything's been closed mouth. I haven't heard anything. In my opinion, I think he needs to stay. I'm one of those guys that left early. Basketball-wise, I was ready. Maturity, I wasn't. I wasn't mature enough to sit on the bench and be professional on a team that just came from the finals. So it's more than just playing basketball. We don't know about the professional side. All we want to do is go play. And that's a rude awakening for a lot of these guys. Shabazz went through it last year. Now he's playing. He knew what he had to do to get back. So
Jordan isn't playing, right?
Right. And that's what happened to me, the same thing. Hopefully they're mature enough to handle sitting on the bench, and they're the first ones there, and the last ones to leave at practice, and they have a good veteran that put them under their wing to help them along the way. And I think Kyle is in the best situation out of everybody because he's on the Spurs.
Yeah.
Great team, great organization, great veterans. So Kyle will be all right. I'm worried about Jordan. And I'm worried about Zach, because Zach's on a young team. He's on a very young team, and it's very cutthroat. All right, thank you. Go Bruins.
Good job, Tracy. After 6-7 years on the road with Roberts, we've got him to mature. All right? We don't have to worry about tea. Hey, listen, thank you so much for having us. You guys are the alumnus, backbone of UCLA. And we love having you out here for the games. Love saying hi to you. And we got about 30 minutes before we go on the air live. So thank you so much again. One more question.
Do you remember the call for Josh Shipp's shot against Cal?
Josh Shipp down on the baseline, fires it. It's up behind the backboard and goes in. Oh my goodness gracious. I think the Brooks are going to win this game. Did I get it right? Okay. That's the last time I listened to a tape, that's what it sounded like. I've never seen anybody shoot one from behind the basket. They almost had to invoke the Wilt Chamberlain rule. They made a rule in the NBA that you couldn't shoot a ball from behind the basket and drop it straight down for the 7'2" man to just pick it up and guide it right into the basket way back in the days of the NBA when Wilt was playing. Okay, one more question. You twisted my arm. 4.8 seconds left to go in the game. Ball brought into Andy. Dribbles across the 10-second line. Dribbles behind his back. Goes down the lane. Puts it up. Bruins win! Oh, yeah, baby! Yeah, baby! Yeah, baby! Now, I'm cheating a little bit on that one because it actually was Marcus Johnson who was going, yeah, baby. He even patented, yeah, baby. So every time I said it after that, it cost me $5 in royalties going to Marcus Johnson. But no, those are special moments. They live forever. And it's funny, we had a guy put it together on tape, a thing that Tracy and I were just at Glendora Country Club. The call, my original call, and then the videotape of our director of basketball operations, Ty Sedney, taking it to the hoop, and even got Marcus, yeah, baby, in there, and a very exciting time, that 95 championship year. That win coming in Boise, Idaho in the playoffs. We don't win that one. We don't go on to Sanford or Oakland to play in 2 more clutch games, and then head up to Seattle to win it all in '95. Head coach Jim Herrick, that is his banner, number 11. Thank you. Have a great day. Come on over and cheer. We'll be there talking about it.